Hello, New Wave of British Heavy Metal.com. It is the 10th of January 2021. Before we get into looking at this UFO box set, if I could ask please that if you would subscribe to the channel, that'd be big help, big favour, and certainly appreciated. Here we're going to look at UFO, the marvellous UFO, and a box set that came out a few years ago on air at the BBC, which is self-explanatory. There's all sorts of recordings and a DVD here that have been on the BBC over the years. It's a really solid box set. For an old UFO fan like myself, I mean, I first saw them on Lights Out tour, which would have been, what, 77, 78, something like that. And, they've been my boys ever since. And it really is excellent stuff. Whether you're an old fan like myself or discovering UFO for the first time, you can't go wrong with this. And even over the years, they've had their, what shall we say, slight hiccups, occasional dips in form, whatever you might want to call it. You can't deny that they keep turning out great stuff time after time after time. And even though along the way over the years, at times they've had more lineup chainers on a more frequent basis than Spinal Tap get through drummers, they've always been up there as a killer live act. I mean, the number of times I've seen them throughout the years, and they've never disappointed. Well, probably once in Bradford, but let's not get into that, And over this box set, we've got 5 CDs and a DVD, and it spans everything between 74 and 85. Phenomenal stuff, it really is. For me, speaking personally, the standout of it all for me is a previously unreleased performance that the band made in Nebworth in 1985. And what makes that a little bit different for me is that it features Atomic Tommy M on guitar, who of course was in the band very briefly, mid-80s, and only recorded on one album, Misdemeanor, when UFO were, well, in all sorts of trouble, I suppose. They were all over the place back then. But Misdemeanor, which is to say the only album that Tommy McClendon played on, is for me a very underrated album and a very solid album in its own right. And that comes across in this Nebworth set. There's lots of stuff, again, something else I welcome, speaking personally, there's lots of stuff over these CDs from the Paul Chapman era, when he was in the band. For me, I prefer the late, great Paul Chapman when he was in UFO. To me, they produced some of their best stuff. While Wild and Willing and the Innocent, for example, Making Contact, No Place to Run. Tonka was up there with anybody else for me. He had a tough gig replacing Schenker, but he did a marvellous job. And he passed away last year, and that's a shame. It really is. But we've got lots to enjoy here of Chapman stuff on discs 3 and 4. Because since Chapman left, UFO tended not to play very much, or even sometimes no, Chapman era stuff in the live performances, so it's great to have that here as well. Going back even further than that, to 1974, we've got a performance from Golders Green Hippodrome back then, of course with Michael Schenker, a young Michael Schenker playing then, and there's even Tonka in the background on an uncredited guitar performance, which adds to the historical relevance of it all. We've also got a live performance and a John Peel session from 1977. And, there's so much going on here, so much to listen to. You got Schenker, you got Chapman, you got Tommy McClendon, all the different guitar players. Excellent stuff. However, we've got a DVD here as well. And this is excellent for a number of reasons. There's a bit of comedy value involved here as well. But we've got the two classics, Doctor Doctor and Cherry, from an Old Grey Whistle Test show in about 1979. And you must remember the old Grey Whistle test. You know, so many bands got noticed through that, Whispering Bob Harris and all the rest of it. And then we've got some quite cringe-worthy but yet hilarious performances from the band on the old Top of the Pops show, for anyone that remembers that. Miming their way through Doctor Doctor, Young Blood and Lonely Heart. And whilst it's quite comical, it's also quite difficult to watch at times. Given how cheesy Top of the Pops was, of course, and how embarrassed the band looked to be there, miming their way through those songs. They just don't look interested. They don't look like they want to be there. The lip syncing from Phil Mogg is is truly ridiculous, as is everything else really. But you can't help but like it. You know, and then the DV closes itself out with an absolutely phenomenal mini set from a BBC Oxford Roadshow from 1982, and there we've got We Belong to the Night, which was in the live set recently, Let It Rain, and you know that all-time classic Too Hot to Handle. Fantastic stuff on this package throughout. You've got a really superb history lesson from a truly classic rock band that were during this spell at their peak. They really were. And as I record this, 10th of January 2021, I've just had a look on Amazon, and you can pick this up for about 20 quid, which is an absolute slam dunk bargain in my opinion. You know, whether you like UFO or not. Now, you can see there that the cover is an amplifier, and if you look closely, you'll see that the dials on that amplifier only go up to 10. Well, it should be 11 and beyond. It's that good. I mean, UFO, what can you say? Phenomenal. So just go out and buy it. You can't go wrong with this. As always, link below in the description to the box set on Amazon. There's also a link back to the post on the website if you'd like to read that. As always, if I could ask if you would subscribe to the channel, please, if you haven't already, that would be marvellous. And as always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and take care.